out of here.
Superman 2025 is Warner Brothers and DC Studios' bold attempt to reignite one of the most iconic superheroes in pop culture history, but also launch an entirely new cinematic universe because, let's be honest, the old DCEU crashed harder than Zod through a skyscraper. This time under James Gunn's creative direction, the Man of Steel isn't just saving the day, he's carrying the entire weight of the DCU reboot on his shoulders. And as you might have guessed, the plan is working, at least so far. Superman 2025 had a massive opening weekend, pulling in $217 million worldwide, marking the biggest solo Superman debut ever. Fans are finally responding to a version of Superman that feels brighter, more hopeful, and less, "My dad told me not to help people."
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
But here's where things get interesting. Just like Iron Man, this new Superman film is more than just a movie. It's a universe jumpstart. It's literally the beginning of a whole new DC-connected universe with spin-offs like Supergirl, Clayface, and a Green Lantern HBO Max series. And eventually, yes, a brand new Justice League already in the pipeline. And while Superman 2025 is a huge step forward, it also faces the exact same pitfalls that have crushed superhero franchises before, especially the DCEU. We're talking the pressure of kicking off an entire cinematic universe, balancing legacy and reinvention, living up to both fan expectations and studio mandates, and of course, trying to avoid the classic "Superman is boring" complaint by making him feel human and compelling, without losing the mythic scale. These are some of the same struggles that destroy previous DC entries like Justice League 2017, too many subplots, tone confusion, and an over-reliance on setting up future movies instead of focusing on the one you're watching. But somehow, Superman 2025 manages to make these challenges work instead of crumble under them. Instead of weaponizing nostalgia the way No Way Home did with Toby and Andrew, Superman's reboot is trying to weaponize optimism, bringing back the bright, hopeful tone of the Donner films while modernizing it for today's audience. Of course, there's still room for debate. Maybe the best Superman film ever made is still Man of Steel, depending on who you ask. Maybe Christopher Reeve's cape will never truly be replaced. But this new Superman has something that others didn't: a clear plan. Whether or not it succeeds long term, this is how you reboot a superhero and start a universe the right way, by learning from past failures and finally giving Superman the spotlight he deserves. One of the reasons why this movie does work really well is because of Superman. And no, I'm not talking about David Cornsweet, although he's good too. He plays the part really well, his chemistry with Lois Lane is great, and I actually really liked his take on the character. However, that's not what made this Superman great. What made this Superman a great protagonist is the writing. You see, if you want to make a great protagonist, it's gonna take some work. From the writers, that is. Because the bad news is, usually in superhero movies, the villain is the star of the show. Think of The Dark Knight, Joker's movie. What about Infinity War, Thanos' movie, Silence of the Lambs? Hannibal eats the whole script. Heroes are often just there. They punch stuff, they save the day, but they're usually less interesting than the bad guys. Except sometimes you get an anomaly, like Iron Man, for example. Tony Stark was such an interesting character that they literally built a cinematic universe around him. And in this case, Superman 2025 finally gave us a Superman worth caring about again. So let's break down why Superman in this new movie works so well and why he's the perfect protagonist to restart the DC universe. The first point is that he is unfairly punished, so we care about him. You see, if you want the audience to care about your hero, here's the recipe. 1. Take their life. 2. Put it in a blender, and 3. Hit maximum speed. In Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker is basically a punching bag for 2 hours, and that's one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. In Superman 2025, Kal-El is no different. This movie doesn't start with Superman saving the world from aliens or some other giant threat. It literally starts with him losing a fight. The first couple minutes of the movie shows us Superman completely beat up in the snow so badly that he has to call his dog to come help him. The first couple of fights we see in the movie, Superman is getting his ass kicked, and even at one point in the film, the antagonist has him completely powerless and vulnerable. And on top of all that, Superman gets punished for doing the right thing. So naturally, you care about him, because nobody likes watching someone get punished for being good. Here's an example. Kal-El goes to stop the war and save people's lives, not because of any political affiliation, but just because it's the right thing to do.
You do understand his frustration. I don't see the politics here. I just want to stop people from dying.
Once he gets back home, he has the conversation with Lois Lane, who's preparing him for the questions that they're going to ask him, and literally just putting him on the spot. So as an audience member, you automatically side with Superman, because it's like, hey, why are you guys questioning this man who's just trying to do good? The second point is that he takes hits without becoming a whiny baby.
Are you sure about that?
People were going to die.
There's a little bit too much of him, like, losing his cool. I don't know that I needed this shouty version.
Let me talk to you.
Let's talk about Anakin Skywalker for a second. And let me be very clear, I am a huge Star Wars fan, and as a matter of fact, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, is like my favorite Star Wars movie ever. However, Anakin Skywalker is such a whiny baby in this trilogy.
What have I done?
I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
Liar! You're with him! You brought him here to kill me!
Especially in the second movie, Attack of the Clones. Dear Christ.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous.
And this is no hate towards Hayden Christensen. I think he's the perfect choice for Anakin Skywalker. But just some of the lines he says are so cringe, and the memes are well deserved. I'm just trying to emphasize that nobody likes a whiny baby. Yes, you have to be harsh on your protagonist, but don't make him complain like a little. We don't want Superman to become a whiny baby, and thankfully, he doesn't.
And I don't think they should have actually shown the clips. Superman's yelling at his girlfriend, yelling at Lex Luthor, because in context in the movie, I understood more than just these out of context clips.
Superman in this movie does not complain. He doesn't give up, and he doesn't sulk for 40 minutes straight. Instead, he takes all the injustice and he keeps being Superman anyway. And that's why we respect him. Even when the world turns its back on him, he keeps helping people. He keeps believing in the idea that being good matters, even if it's hard. Because you and I both know if we had Superman's powers, we might have taken a little bit more of a Brightburn approach. That's why we can respect him as an audience, because he shows a lot of restraint, whereas most people probably wouldn't. That's why we go to the theaters and watch movies like Superman, so that we can look up to someone, because it really doesn't matter whether or not you like Superman, whether or not he's your favorite superhero. What matters is that you respect him. Now, as much as I love Superman as a protagonist in this movie, he is not without flaws. In storytelling, there's a simple rule. The main character should push the story forward, not the other way around. You see, when your protagonist is active, their decisions are the reason the plot exists. Whereas when they're reactive, they just drift from one scene to the next, getting yanked along by everyone else's choices. And unfortunately, in Superman 2025, this is where the movie stumbles. Take one of the film's biggest reveals. For example, Lex Luthor breaks into the Fortress of Solitude, steals the final message from Superman's parents, decodes it, and discovers, plot twist, Kal-El wasn't sent to Earth just to survive, he was sent to conquer it. That's a huge emotional moment, but the problem is, it's Lex's moment, not Superman's. Superman is just standing there playing catch-up in his own story. Imagine if instead of having Lex trigger this revelation, Clark himself had decided to go on a mission to decode the message, maybe because he felt lost, maybe because he wanted to know what his Kryptonian parents really wanted for him, and in that version, the discovery would have been Superman's burden, not Lex Luthor's plot device. The emotional fallout would have hit 10 times harder because Superman would have been the cause of the pain, not just the recipient of it. Right now, he's not driving the story, he's reacting to it, and that's the issue. And the same problem shows up again with the kaiju sequence. Lex Luthor unleashes a giant monster attack in Metropolis, because of course he does, and Superman naturally shows up to punch the giant monster in the face. Big action scene, city in ruins, classic superhero stuff. But narratively, it's just another diversion. Superman isn't driving this part of the story either. He's reacting again to something Lex decided to do. The monster is there to keep Superman busy while Lex continues with his master plan. And sure, watching Superman fight a skyscraper-sized creature is cool for about 5 minutes, but structurally, this scene is hollow because it's not tied to Superman's own decision. He's just cleaning up someone else's mess. Now, this is gonna be controversial, but just imagine for a second if the kaiju wasn't a random obstacle, but something Superman accidentally unleashed because of his own moral conflict of Kryptonian heritage. I know that sounds crazy, but that would have at least connected the action to his character arc, not just his fists. When you make your protagonist reactive like this, the story starts to feel less like Superman's movie and more like Lex Luthor's highlight reel, with Superman occasionally showing up to play defense. And that's the problem. You can't have a proactive villain and a passive hero at the same time. If your villain is the one creating all the interesting moments, then your protagonist starts to feel like a side character in their own film. Superman in this movie isn't an active hero. He's not pushing the narrative forward, the narrative is pushing him. That's all that I wanted to cover in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment, give this video a thumbs up, and as always, subscribe for more content like this. I wanted to keep this video short, but if it is something that people want to discuss further, I can make a whole nother video on Lex Luthor and the villain and antagonist side of things, so let me know in the comments.